day it is in Connecticut. I wonder what's going on at Titan Tower on Friday afternoon. What's going on in WWE, man? Let's see. We got failing ratings every single week. Viewership is down across the board. I mean, in 2019, I think they topped, what was it? They topped themselves for the lowest rating on Monday night 8 different times in 2019 alone. Network subscriptions down, interest in the overall product down, live event numbers down, merchandise numbers down, stocks down. The XFL coming in February. There's a lot of different things going on in the world of Vince McMahon. So much that he can't handle it all by himself. So for all these negative things that are coming out of the WWE, who do we blame? Who do we blame? Do we blame Vince McMahon? Of course we do. But who does Vince McMahon turn the blame on to when we all know that it is his fault? Oh, that's right. 2 co-presidents of the WWE that were asked to resign because Vince McMahon will not let go of his vision for WWE. It's unbelievable, man. We have another Eric Bischoff situation here in WWE with Michelle Wilson and George Barrios removed because they were simply scapegoats to Vince McMahon's failures. This is the big news. We're going to talk about it. I am not a big stock guy. I am not a big analytical numbers guy when it comes to this type of thing. I mainly focus on the creative aspect of WWE, what needs to be done, what isn't being done, what's right, what's wrong, how they need to go here and there and everywhere. But this is a serious situation, especially with the XFL looming in just 1 week. In just 1 week after the Super Bowl, we got XFL football. We're going to talk about all this on this particular episode of OTS. This is Off the Script, episode 311, part number 2 for your Saturday, February 1, 2020. I am JD, and this is the best podcast in all of the YWC right here on YouTube.com. Thank you guys so much for joining me, man. What an episode we had on Friday. And if you guys missed that, you got to go check it down in the description below. We talked about in depth, and I hope WWE listens to me, man, because I could be excited for it, but at this juncture, I am not, unless WWE listens to me, of course, unless certain things take place. What I'm talking about is Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair for the NXT Women's Championship at Wrestlemania 36 in Tampa, Florida. That's the big rumor going around. I gave you a stage. I set the stage for why it is a terrible idea unless WWE does what they need to do. I just don't believe that Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, and then you're going to ask her. Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, by the way, because WWE owed her a favor, which is scary in itself, but WWE owed her a favor, have her win the Royal Rumble, and then go to WrestleMania and lose and put over Rhea Ripley? Yeah, right. Yeah, right, man. And I'm going to have Toni Storm bouncing up and down on me on Saturday night after I take her out to dinner. Yeah, sure. Sure I am. Oh, sure they are. Sure Charlotte is. Awful, man. So I go over that particular situation, and if you want to go check all that out, plus I got every piece of information coming out of the Royal Rumble, man. So much that my ears were bleeding with all the Royal Rumble news. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, who was in the Rumble, who wasn't supposed to be in the Rumble, who was supposed to be in the Rumble and didn't show up. Everything you need to know, man. What's the WrestleMania main event? Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman arguing over who is going to main event WrestleMania. Paul wants Drew. Vince wants Roman. George Barrios and Michelle Wilson were fired from WWE. All you need to do is look at the man's mentality just based on who he wants in the WrestleMania main event. Vince wants Roman. There's no wonder why Michelle Wilson and George Barrios were conflicting over Vince McMahon's vision. He has no vision as far as creative. Why would he have vision in regards to business? He's old, he's senile, he's losing it. Yes, Vince is the father of WWE. He knows everything better than anybody in WWE, but there comes a time and a day and an age where you just can't hack it anymore. So make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out down in the description of this very video. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys so very much. We're nearing 30,000 followers on Twitter, and I think we're nearing 8,200 followers on Instagram. So make sure you guys do that for me as well. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for all notifications, and much important, this is mucho importante, and I don't even speak Spanish, man. Go and get your YWC Messiah t-shirts. And please, don't let the fact of the matter that I am on your t-shirt. I look glorious in this picture. Now, I don't know who's going to want to wear me on their t-shirt like that. I wonder how it's going for Seth Rollins, but I think it looks awesome. And if you guys want to go get the new t-shirt, the new campaign is on Bonfire. My friends over at Bonfire hooked me up big time by putting that campaign and getting it on the website and setting it up for me. If you guys want to go get yours today, man, multitude of colors. I got ladies' colors, I got men's colors, I got ladies' tees, I got hoodies, I got sweatshirts, I got tank tops, I got regular tees. You guys order it now, you're going to get it right in the beginning of March, right in time, right in the thick of things for WrestleMania season. Go and get yours today. Link will be down in the description at the very top of this very video. Thank you guys so very much. We sold about 25 in the last day and a half or so. That's excellent. We got another 25 to go before we hit the plateau of 50, which I set it very low. I always do, because I never know how these things are going to go. But if you guys want to go get yours, man, I'd love to have you guys wear that and sporting around, especially if you're going to WrestleMania season. I love to trigger everybody, man. Team JD all the way going down to WrestleMania with the YWC Messiah t-shirt, now available on bonfire.com. Let's get into the news, man. Let's talk about Barrios and Wilson. They were reportedly conflicting with Vince McMahon's vision of WWE. Now, Vince McMahon has his own way. He gets what he wants. Vince McMahon says it, and he gets what he wants. Barrios and Michelle Wilson obviously disagreed. What happens when you disagree with Mr. McMahon? Goodbye. Following Barrios and Wilson's exit from WWE, the company's stock plummeted. The price of the stock plummeted. Now, this is an interesting transition time for the company, as both former WWE co-presidents were responsible in securing many big deals for the company. PW Insider reports that they were told Barrios and Wilson's WWE departure was due to irreconcilable differences. The two apparently conflicted with Vince McMahon overall and his vision for the company moving forward. PW Insider is told that an internal announcement released by the company to its employees was even more direct, alluding to the differences in the company's strategic priorities. Barrios and Wilson had one vision and Vince McMahon had another. Vince's vision will always win. He's Vince McMahon, the end, says Mike Johnson, coming out of PWInsider.com. And he is one of the more reputable sources in the community. Those within the company were shocked. Barrios and Wilson's exit sent employees into a panic mode as well. And the word around Titan Tower on Friday afternoon is that it was a very uncomfortable atmosphere over in Stamford, Connecticut. A lot of people are left wondering what happened in this entire situation. Now, someone that WrestleVotes spoke to, they actually tweeted about this on Friday morning. WrestleVotes reported on Friday that the overall vibe in the headquarters, to back up what PW Insider reported, the overall vibe in WWE headquarters is that it was very uncomfortable today. A lot of people are left wondering what happened. Just spoke to someone inside Titan Tower. Vibe is said to be uncomfortable today. More questions than answers. As the busiest time of the year approaches, people are scratching their heads. WWE could be preparing for a really bad fourth quarter. Report from 2019. Vince McMahon's decision to cut Barrios and Wilson was reportedly one made out of an impulse without without consulting anyone, including Triple H or Stephanie McMahon, who hold majority stock in the company. Other sources reveal that Wilson and Barrios were talking shit about the XFL before they left, which is going to be a big situation moving forward because the company is currently involved in a lawsuit to see exactly where the XFL money to fund the promotion is coming from. So we don't know anything about that. I mean, I could make my assumptions and I could make my guesstimations on that, but I do not think that Vince McMahon's money, the money that he personally owns, that's his, I doubt very highly that the money that is funding the XFL is coming from Vince McMahon alone. It's obviously coming from the WWE. The $8 billion or the $9 billion that the WWE is worth is absolutely, in my opinion, funding the XFL. Otherwise, I mean, just look at that in just thought. I mean, the sheer context of that is just ridiculous. Vince McMahon funding a fucking entire league by himself, like a football league, the XFL, I don't think so. It's going to need more manpower than that. It's going to need more resources than that. Where do you think he's getting his resources? From the fucking billions that Fox is giving him, the billions from NBC Universal, right? I mean, and the money from Saudi Arabia, too. This is all funding. I'm not saying all of it. I'm saying some of it. Absolutely. If I was to make a guess, I don't know for sure, but I would say that money is coming from all of those different resources to fund the XFL. Now, the shares of WWE stock plunged as much as 24% to $47.50 in the extended trading after the company announced the departure of co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson effective immediately. The stock hasn't traded that low since 2018 May. Now, Frank Riddick, a board member for more than 11 years, has been named interim chief financial officer. WWE stated this on Thursday. He'll report to Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Vince McMahon, the billionaire who often serves as the face of the WWE. This article is coming from Yahoo Financials. The board and I decided a change was necessary, McMahon said in a statement. We have different views on how best to achieve our strategic priorities. Now, writing is on the wall. The reshuffling follows a difficult stretch for WWE, whose stock was crowned only 2 years ago by KeyBank Capital Markets as one to own in media. After a string of negative headlines in 2019, obviously the Saudi Arabian situation and all that stuff obviously did not help. Investors grew concerned about how WWE's upcoming contract renewals and a public relations fallout surrounding the treatment of its wrestlers. The stock suffered its worst annual return since 2014, falling 13% last year, while the S&P Midcap 400 Index added 24%. Media reports had hinted that management was struggling to renew distribution contracts overseas, including international deals in key regions such as the Middle East. And earlier in the year, John Oliver, the comedian and late-night talk show host, had criticized WWE's, internal workings and McMahon in a segment on Last Week Tonight. Obviously about the fact that they, they're independent contractors and that entire deal. Oliver said that wrestlers were dying at a faster rate than professional football players and that WWE failed to provide health insurance because the company deemed its talent independent contractors. WWE later rebuffed Oliver's assertions, pointing out that its long-standing talent has wellness initiative. The program offers wrestlers a yearly physical and testing for brain function and substance abuse. In recent months, Wall Street had seemed to grow more optimistic about WWE. The following of the expansion of live event partnerships with Saudi Arabia and an agreement with Fox to air Friday Night SmackDown in the United States obviously was a great deal. Event programming encouraged long-term TV contracts and relatively predictable revenue alongside cash flow growth makes the company well-positioned. Alan Gould, an analyst at Loop Capital Markets, said in a note last month, approximately 90% of analysts on Wall Street recommended a buy equivalent rating on the stock, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. and some of the company's initiatives like its streaming-based WWE Network appeared promising. But the Stamford, Connecticut-based company offered a dimmer outlook on Thursday. It now expects to report 2019 adjusted earnings of $180 million, down from as much as $190 million as previously forecast. The new projection trails the nearly $186.6 million that consensus estimates were calling for. Now, the company is working to re-energize fans with new talent and some well-known names from the past. That is the way that particular article from Yahoo Financials ended. Nobody could really say what is internally going on. Nobody has the exact numbers. I can't really say anything here. I wanted to give you guys the update on what had happened. But the final results will come in on February 6th. And I guess we can discuss all of that on next week's show, being that it will fall right in line with when I record anyway. So they'll probably be released on Thursday morning, February 6th. This is a bad situation, folks. All I could say is, from an outsider's perspective looking in, this is the Eric Bischoff situation all over again. Eric Bischoff was named executive director of SmackDown on Fox, and he was let go immediately without even fucking having the position or been given the role of that, really, behind the scenes. He was given that role because they needed somebody to fire when things got bad. And that's exactly why they hired Eric Bischoff. They hired him to fire him. He was a scapegoat for Vince McMahon's failures. That's all that was. That's all that was. And this is the same exact situation with Michelle Wilson and George Barrios here. There's no difference. These two, Barrios and Wilson, were used as scapegoats. Vince McMahon did not even consult with anybody about their termination. He just felt compelled one morning to fire these two who were with the WWE, one of their longest standing tenures, these two, in the company. Just let go. Now, who is Vince going to get to fill that role? You know, when you develop some sort of seniority in a role as co-president like Barrios and Wilson had, you know, it's going to be very difficult for someone like a shareholder or a stockholder or people who are buying into your company to look at somebody new. You know, obviously this other guy was probably promoted from within. That's what I'm assuming. It's Frank Riddick, right? So even though he might be with the company for a little bit, it's going to be very difficult to look at a new face in that role when you're so comfortable knowing that Michelle Wilson and George Barrios have been there for a long time. They know literally everything, the ins and outs of WWE. Now you got to look at this new face. How are you going to be able to trust that individual who has all of this new responsibility now brought upon him that was previously held by Barrios and Wilson? It's going to be a very difficult thing for everybody to look at. Vince felt compelled one morning to just say, I don't want them here anymore. And I don't know how you guys are looking at it. Again, I'm not a very analytical individual when it comes to stocks and this and that. I'm not really, one to look at the stocks and really make sense of what's going on. I don't understand that, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it. But I can talk about what I know from an outsider's perspective looking in here. WWE in the fourth quarter usually coasts. They don't put any effort into anything in the fourth quarter. Nothing. Every single year after WrestleMania, this company coasts. They coast through the summer, they coast through SummerSlam, they coast through Survivor Series, and then they coast through the end of the year until we get to the Royal Rumble. It's like after WrestleMania, from January to April, this company is on point. They know that's where they're going to do most of their business. And then for the rest of the year, they get lazy. They don't care. They do because they have to do, and they put no effort into what they do until January, the next year comes around when they know, okay, this is our season. This is bad news. WWE has nobody to blame but themselves. Vince McMahon has nobody to blame but himself. Ratings are down. Live show attendance is down. Live show revenue, every which way, is down. Merchandise is down. Everything about WWE is down. Network subscriptions are down. Everything. Ratings, you name it. It's all down. Why is that? Why is that? WWE has nobody to blame but themselves. This, I'm not saying it all falls on Vince McMahon. Something like merchandise is not really Vince McMahon. I'm not going to blame Vince McMahon for that. They got their own merchandise people. It's their job to come up with enticing designs for people to buy. Half of the shit on WWE Shop is fucking garbage to begin with. I mean, you're lucky to find anything on there that's worth shelling money out for. The t-shirt designs are awful. I only buy t-shirts because I love certain acts and performers in NXT and I want to support. You would not catch me wearing a main roster t-shirt ever. They are awful. Every single design looks like it's drawn up and mocked up by a fucking 6-year-old. They don't do anything in terms of getting people interested in buying t-shirts. Look at Pro Wrestling Tees. Look at the designs that they have on their website. You are compelled. I would much rather spend $200 on shit on Pro Wrestling Tees than I would ever spend on WWEshop.com. It's awful. It's awful. They put absolutely no effort into their merchandising. I'm not going to blame Vince McMahon on that aspect of it, but Vince McMahon is directly responsible for getting people to care about the acts and the performers on his show so that they are invested in said acts and performers so that these people go out there and buy a fucking t-shirt to want to represent said acts and performers. If I was emotionally invested in somebody on WWE TV, if I cared about what was going on with certain acts on WWE Raw and SmackDown, I would go out and buy a t-shirt. If I felt compelled, I am the perfect example for this, because I'm a fucking mark, okay? I'll go. I am the perfect example for what I'm about to tell you. You think I want to miss WrestleMania? Do you think I want to tell myself, you know what, I'm not going to make the trip to WrestleMania this year. I'm not going to go down to Tampa when I know everybody in the community is going to be there. Everybody's going to be in and around doing everything around WrestleMania. Half of these people are going to go to the show. Do you honestly think I want to sit here and tell you I don't want to sit for 7.5 hours at a WrestleMania show? I don't care to watch WrestleMania live. I've never been to a WrestleMania. Everybody's telling me you got to do it at least once in your lifetime. It's a spectacle unlike anything else that you'll experience in your entire life. You think I want to say that? You think I live in New York City and WWE comes to Madison Square Garden, which is a fucking train ride on the 5 train right to Madison Square Garden? You think I want to miss WWE and not go to the fucking shows when I know that they're in town? SummerSlam was in Brooklyn for 4 straight years. TakeOver was in Brooklyn 4 straight years. That's TakeOver. That's a terrible example. But SummerSlam, 4 straight years in the Barclays Center. I didn't attend one SummerSlam. Actually, I lied. I went with Issa, Demon Diva, who is good friends with LeBar and Ticket Drew. I went there with her once. And then we ended up meeting Ticket Drew and LeBar after the show. But I only went because they went. I wasn't going to take myself to fucking SummerSlam. Why would I go? I don't go to any shows because I am not emotionally invested in watching anything live because all I do is fucking bitch, moan, complain, and feel disappointed about what I watch week to week. There's nothing enticing me to go and watch this shit live. It starts at the top. It starts with Vince, who's directly responsible for creative in every single fucking aspect of this company. Everything about these shows goes through Vince McMahon. What do you think he's doing? He's making it to a point, or getting the company to a point where nobody cares. Nobody cares about the talent. Nobody wants to pay to go see the talent. Nobody wants to pay to go buy some merchandise. Nobody wants to go. Everything is down. Nobody's even watching the shows at home. Monday Night Raw in itself topped itself 8 different times in 2019 for their lowest non-holiday rating ever in the show's 27-year history. That's good news? That's bad. It all starts with creative. This company has neglected the fans. This company has shit on the fans. This company barely, and I mean barely, gives the fans what they want. The company does what they want, when they want, with who they want. They don't listen to the fans. This company is neglected on building new superstars year after year after year after year. For the last 6 years, we have been told to be conditioned to like who they like. They have neglected on building any new superstars. Why are they neglecting building up new stars? Because they're afraid of the company having a superstar that's bigger than the WWE. John Cena, Steve Austin, The Rock, Hulk Hogan. All of those names are bigger than Dwayne Johnson himself is bigger than the WWE. They don't want a situation like that anymore. They want to control everyone, everything, and control the narrative to tell you how to think, who to like, who to cheer for, what you gotta like and enjoy. It sucks. Everything about this company is fucking garbage. Everything about this in my adult life, this is the worst. And I mean this wholeheartedly. It's the worst that the WWE has ever produced. I'm not talking about the financials. I'm not here to talk about the billions and billions that they're making from TV deals and NBC Universal and fucking Fox Sports. In my eyes, those people are fucking stupid. I would never in a fucking 1,000 lifetimes pay $2 billion for WWE. Never. The company is not worth it. It all starts at the top. I don't know what Barrios and Michelle Wilson were conflicting with Vince McMahon over. It might be strategic strategies here or analytical strategies here about numbers and networks and this and that and stocks. I don't know. But I know everybody for years has been conflicting with Vince McMahon over creative. It starts with creative. If these shows were fucking 30% better than what they were, everything else underneath it would increase. I'd be more apt to go to the shows. I'd be more apt to buy a t-shirt. I'd be more happy to watch the fucking TV. I'd care. Nobody cares. This is a terrible situation for Vince McMahon and WWE. And additionally, what does it do for the company when you're shelling out? I just reported this yesterday. Edge is making $3 million per year for the next 3 years. And he's working a limited schedule. He's working somewhat of a Randy Orton, AJ Styles, somewhere in between the Lesnar and Orton schedule is what Edge is working. That's worth $3 million? A guy that's been out for 9 years, hasn't wrestled once in 9 years. That's worth $3 million? Do you know why Vince McMahon paid Edge $3 million? Because Tony Khan was going to do everything in his fucking power to get Adam Copeland on AEW television. How much of that was WWE wanting Edge, legitimately? How much of that was WWE thinking Edge is worth that money? And how much of it is fear? Because Vince McMahon was afraid Tony Khan was going to lure Adam Copeland away from WWE. You're paying Gallows and Anderson $1 million each for 5 years. To do what? To do what? AJ Styles is making all this kind of money for what? What is he making all this money for? Brock Lesnar is making all this money for WWE. WWE's bending over backwards to pay the Revival upwards towards $1 million each for the next 5 years to keep them in WWE. For what? Look at all the money that they're shelling out to keep talent because they don't want talent to go anywhere else. There's no return on their investment there. They're simply paying these people to keep them employed because AEW was that fucking shotgun and it's penetrated WWE's armor. You don't think there's an AEW effect? Oh yeah, this is the biggest fucking cherry on top of the cake that you'll ever see, motherfucker. This is bad. This is bad. Everything starts at the top. I'm not saying Vince McMahon is completely to blame. There's nobody in this fucking world that knows WWE and where WWE should be than Vince McMahon. Seriously. But there comes a point where Vince is just getting old and he can't keep up with the times. It's all about himself. Vince has always had the mentality, for years, it's all about himself. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else. Clearly. When Vince releases that stranglehold that he has on WWE, then things will get better. Until Vince McMahon is removed from the WWE, this will happen every single year. The removal of Vince McMahon for WWE to grow is needed. That's all I see from this. I don't know what you guys think. I have stated this time and time and time again when I talk about this particular situation. Now it's cost Michelle Wilson and George Barrios their jobs. It starts at the top. If everything from creative to the TV was good and the ratings were where they should be, 3s and 4s, we wouldn't be talking about this. The ratings for Raw going into the fourth quarter were 1.7, 1.8. The only reason why they're up now is because it's WrestleMania season. After WrestleMania, right down to being 2, 1.9. You can't gauge anything that happens during WrestleMania season because everybody that doesn't watch watches this time of year. You need to get those people to watch not only this time of the year, but for April all the way back until January again. And they do nothing. They put no effort into keeping you around. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They don't do anything to keep the fans' interest on these shows. It's literally the same shit every single fucking week. Every week. And then they want to know who to blame. Blame Vince. Soon as that creative changes, I guarantee you everything else is going to increase. More live people coming to the show, more merchandise being bought. Create some fucking superstars. Create. Stop holding back. Stop pushing who we don't want. Stop just this mentality of, oh, we can't push and create new superstars because we're afraid that someone's going to go on and be bigger than the WWE and then abandon us. So what? So what? You're in the wrestling business. It's your job to continue to create. If someone leaves, then you have someone else right there waiting in the wings to create. Everybody that we love means nothing on these shows. It's Vince McMahon. Starts at the top. I don't know what else to tell you. WrestleMania. I reported yesterday that Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman were arguing, and there was a conflict, as always. Just look at that. Just look at that. Vince wants, Vince gets. Vince is completely out of touch with everything. He wants Roman to main event WrestleMania against The Fiend. I stated yesterday that that match is no way a WrestleMania main event, meaning last match on the show. No way. I don't want some fucking cartoon character wearing a creepy mask defending the Universal title to be the last image of WrestleMania. I don't want Roman Reigns to be holding up the Universal Championship to be the last image of WrestleMania. We've seen that. Move the fuck on. There was a conflict. There was a report from Sportskeeda that there was a disagreement with Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman over what should be the main event of WrestleMania. The two options, you guys know, Lesnar, McIntyre, Fiend, Roman. It appears that Vince McMahon, as usual, wanted Roman Reigns to close the show, but Paul Heyman is majorly behind Drew McIntyre and his push, and was very keen on having Drew in the main event for the first time. Surprisingly, it appears, as of this report, that Paul Heyman has won the fight, because the Wrestling Observer newsletter is now reporting that the main event will feature Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre, meaning the last match on the show will be the WWE Championship of Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. He says, and I quote, "The decision is to go all out with Lesnar versus McIntyre as the main event at this point, barring any outside attraction and not Wyatt versus Reigns." End quote. The Observer was also reporting that Drew almost never won the Royal Rumble, which we discussed last night as well on Off the Script. And it was a decision between him and Roman Reigns. That was changed. And there was also Aleister Black in the discussion. It was ultimately decided that Drew was more over with the crowd and therefore was given the spot over Aleister Black, a decision that was 100% correct. For Lesnar, it will be his fourth WrestleMania main event. As mentioned, it will be Drew's first. It would make for the first time ever main events for a superstar to main event a TakeOver show and a WrestleMania show for Drew McIntyre. First time ever, period. So that's a pretty cool statistic for Mr. McIntyre. Good. It's the right decision. This is the right decision. I don't need to explain myself anymore. Whoever thinks that Roman Reigns and The Fiend is a better main event than Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar and should go on last is a complete idiot. this is the main event. The WWE Championship is the most important title in the company. Roman Reigns has seen 5 main events. No more. No more. You're treading fucking Hulk Hogan territory with that shit. Get over yourself. Roman didn't work the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. He ain't gonna work this time. There's no way that main event will go off as planned. WWE thinks Roman's gonna get cheered by being in a title match with The Fiend. It's gonna be the same shit every single year. Roman will be the heel going into WrestleMania, and you know what WWE feels about Roman getting heel heat. And it's not even heel heat, it's bad heel heat. Wrong heel heat. Go away heat, which exists. This is the right decision. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, Lesnar will reportedly be wrestling at Super Showdown. Bodyslam.net reports that we won't have to wait long to see Brock Lesnar defend the WWE Championship again. It is being reported that Lesnar will be wrestling at the Saudi Arabian event Super Showdown on February 27th. His opponent was not noted. A source close to the situation has informed us here at Bodyslam.net that WWE Champion Brock Lesnar will compete at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. End quote. At this point, Brock Lesnar is slated to defend the WWE title against Drew McIntyre, and it looks like he'll be defending the title in Saudi Arabia as well. Against who? I don't know. The only logical thought I could come up with, and I don't even want to see it because it's going to do him no good anyway. This is just a waste of fucking time if you ask me. But I'm sure he'll be able to bounce around for Brock Lesnar. The only thing I could see happening and makes sense is Ricochet. Ricochet had that stare down with Brock Lesnar in the ring, and Brock Lesnar kicked him in the balls, and then Ricochet in the Royal Rumble went low on Brock Lesnar and aided in Brock Lesnar being eliminated by Drew McIntyre in the Royal Rumble. I don't know what good that would do for Ricochet. This is a burial, and some people are going to be looking at it as, oh, well, you know, Ricochet's in the ring with Brock Lesnar. His star is going to be made by just being picked for this spot and being in the ring with Brock Lesnar. But the guy is going to get buried. This is going to be Finn Balor-like territory. 7 minutes. This will do nothing. I don't believe in Ricochet because Ricochet has done absolutely nothing and has done nothing creatively. WWE has done nothing creatively for Ricochet. He's done nothing, period, to make me believe he could go one-on-one with Brock Lesnar. This is a thrown match, or a match thrown together in the midst of WrestleMania season to simply get Brock Lesnar on a major show that the Saudi Arabian government is shelling out for because they want big names. This is garbage. It will do Ricochet no good. And where does Ricochet go after this? Right back to his fucking little cubbyhole on Monday Night Raw to do nothing. What a shame. This is what he comes to WWE for, to be fed to Brock Lesnar. This is what he gets called up from NXT for, to be fed to Brock Lesnar fucking 17 hours away on a flight in Saudi Arabia. For what? For what? Is it enhancing his star? No. Absolutely not. That's the only match on WWE Raw that I could see happening for Brock Lesnar coming out of the Royal Rumble, going into Super Showdown. Because there's 2 instances now where Heyman and Ricochet got into it. Lesnar got into it, Ricochet, and Ricochet got his revenge in the Royal Rumble. Who else is it going to be? Who else is it going to be? Nobody. Ronda Rousey reportedly will not be at WrestleMania this year. Ronda Rousey's last televised WWE appearance as the former UFC star, or actually, I'm sorry, her last televised appearance was WrestleMania, and the former UFC star took some time away to start a quote-unquote family with husband Travis Brown. Many fans were unhappy that Charlotte Flair was added to the WrestleMania 35 main events. I am one of them. So they have fantasy booked a scenario where Ronda Rousey returns and takes on Becky Lynch in a straight singles match that we have still yet to see. However, it's being reported that Becky Lynch will actually go one-on-one with Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania this year, leaving Rousey without anything to do on the grandest stage of them all if she does decide to return. Now, I mentioned, and I brought forth a very good argument with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, why it really doesn't make any sense and why it's terrible. And the only way it happens is if you listen to what I stated in the video. If you guys want to go check that out, link is down below in the description of this video. But I went on and stated that I would not be surprised if WWE has Charlotte cash in on a match to bring Ronda Rousey back out of her hiding. Imagine that. Charlotte Flair wins the Royal Rumble to cash in on bringing Ronda Rousey back just for the sake of baddest woman on the planet. Can you imagine that? I would not put it past WWE to do some stupid shit like that, giving us a match that nobody wants, A, and B, ruining the entire fucking just sense of the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is to go on to get a championship match at WrestleMania against the champion of your choosing. And she's going to cash in on Ronda Rousey? Wait. We won't know for sure. I don't even believe these reports about Ronda Rousey sitting out until I see everything kind of take shape. There's no reason why WWE at this point is not trying to bring Ronda Rousey to WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey is the biggest women's star in all of WWE, and you're going to operate WrestleMania this year without Ronda Rousey? I just find that very hard to believe. So when everything starts to take shape and we get Becky versus Shayna and then Charlotte and the rumored Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania for the NXT title, I will not believe any of this stuff. I do think that Rhea Ripley is a plan B or a plan C for Charlotte Flair. I do think in this time that WWE is trying to coax Ronda Rousey out of her hiatus. It would not make sense if they are just sitting around not caring that Ronda don't want to be there or whatever. Give me a break. WWE's going to load that show up the best that they can with the biggest stars that they had. Meltzer is reporting on the latest Wrestling Observer that Rousey will not be at WrestleMania this year because Dave Meltzer is 100% in his reporting, right? He says, and I quote, basically, no, nothing. There's no update about Rousey. She's not going to be at WrestleMania, so that's the deal. She's not in, so it looks like Charlotte's Royal Rumble win was to set up her match with Rhea Ripley, which I guess this means Charlotte is supposed to be the person who helps makes the difference on Wednesdays. AEW effect. Give me a second, folks. Oh, man. I'm sorry. You know, the AEW effect, man, it's widely contagious, man. It's more contagious than coronavirus right now. So we'll see. Ronda Rousey is not going to be at WrestleMania. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I was told that today. End quote. Despite Rousey not being set for an appearance at the show, WWE has 3 women's matches probably on the books for the pay-per-view, which I'm assuming is Bayley versus Sasha, I hope. Hopefully it has nothing to do with Lacey Evans. Becky versus Shayna, and then Charlotte versus Rhea. But we'll see. Nobody knows. It's all mere speculation at this point. But Rousey, I would be shocked if WWE is not trying to coax Ronda Rousey back into the WWE. But we'll see. If Ronda is not in an active role at WrestleMania, she will be at WrestleMania when Shayna wins the Women's Championship on Monday Night Raw from Becky at that show. Because that's going to set up Shayna and Ronda versus Becky. I don't know what's going on. I think that would be great. So if Shayna's going to win the title, Ronda Rousey was on YouTube watching Shayna Baszler come on into the Royal Rumble and eliminate 8 people. She did her live reactions. She loves Shayna. That's her best friend. So if Shayna's going to win the Raw Women's title from Becky at WrestleMania, I don't see why Ronda wouldn't be there. So there you go. We'll see what happens. Again, this is all just hearsay right now. And when we get a better idea of what WWE is going to do and when WrestleMania takes shape, then we can, I guess, trace back to this and see if Meltzer was right or wrong. Some sad news to report, guys. Bret Hart reveals that he has skin cancer. This is pretty sad news. WWE legend and Hall of Famer, one of my favorites of all time, one of the greatest to ever do it, Bret the Hitman Hart has revealed he has been diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, one of the most common forms of skin cancer. He revealed on social media that he will undergo surgery soon to have this cancer removed. Since leaving WWE, Hart has suffered a number of health issues, including a stroke in 2002 after a motorbike accident which left him completely paralyzed on the left side. He was able to recover from this after months of physical therapy. He was also diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2016, but beat the disease following successful surgery. Bret continues to make infrequent appearances at wrestling shows and at conventions, but his wrestling days obviously are over, and I wish absolutely nothing but the best for the Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart. I do think that he will be fine, but he did post just to give everybody an update on social media. So that is that. Guys, I quickly just want to shout out my sponsor for today's show, and that's Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. you use our link and get 30 days free of their service. And that includes one free audiobook of your choice. You guys have over 200,000 choices to choose from, a lot of which are wrestling related. We got Kane and his new book, which is great. A lot of you guys signed up for that, which made December one of the best months of the entire year. Mayor Kane, My Life in Wrestling and Politics, 8 hours, narrated by Glenn Jacobs. We got Dylan Postal, Hornswoggle. His new book is out. You guys can go get that as well for free. Or if you want to wait for the new one, Jim Ross has a new book coming out, which you guys can use our link for and get for free. Coming up at the end of March, Under the Black Hat. You guys can pre-order that now for free. audibletrial.com/offthescript. I want to thank everybody for supporting Audible. When you do, it shows them the power of this show, and it keeps them on board with Off the Script. So make sure you guys go out there and support Audible. It's the least you can do, and it's a great thing because you're getting something for free just for listening to this show here on YouTube today. So that's audibletrial.com/offthescripts. SmackDown. You know, last night on SmackDown, we had Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Bobby Roode. I shall not call him Robert. Baron Corbin. I shall not call him King. King Clown, maybe, but Baron Corbin. And Dolph Ziggler. Again, in a 6-man tag on SmackDown. I tweeted about it, and I actually commented on WWE's post on Twitter. I said, again, in capital letters with a bunch of exclamation points and a bunch of question marks. Got about 1,000 likes, so it's a nice gauge to see how people are feeling about this. Nobody cares. And then Vince McMahon wonders why everything is down. Change the fucking format. Holy shit. Reigns just buried this guy at fucking Royal Rumble, and we're back at it again? 5 days later? Unreal. The SmackDown ratings for the Royal Rumble go-home show were in this past week. 2.448 million viewers on Fox. And that was headlined by Daniel Bryan and The Fiend and their contract signing for the Royal Rumble. The final number is down from the overnight viewership that was released on Saturday morning, which was an average of 2.470 million viewers. This number is also down 4.5 from last week's final SmackDown viewership of 2.562 million viewers. SmackDown drew a 0.7 rating in the key demographic of 18 to 49, a 0.9 rating in the 25 to 54 demographic, and a 0.4 rating in the 18 to 34 demographic. Last week's episode drew a 0.8 rating in the 18 to 49 demo and a 0.9 in the 25 to 54 demo, with a 0.5 rating in the 18 to 34 demographic. SmackDown was ranked number 1 in the 18 to 49 demographic on network TV this week for the 6th week in a row. SmackDown also came in at number 1 in the 18 to 34 demo this week for the 6th week in a row. SmackDown tied for number 1 in the 25 to 54 demo for the 2nd week in a row with 2020 and American Housewife. Those are the two shows that came in with WWE. SmackDown came in at number 6 for the night in viewership on network TV behind Hawaii 5-0. Send me to fucking Hawaii. Again, I say it every week. Could go for a nice fucking drink out of a nice little luscious pineapple. Nice little umbrella in it, too. Magnum P.I., Blue Bloods, 2020, and American Housewife. Blue Bloods topped the night with 5.285 million viewers. Garbage. Live PD on A&E topped the night on cable, top 150 with a 0.57 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic and just 1.82 million viewers. Hannity topped the night on cable in viewership with 4.043 million viewers, ranking just 12th on cable in the top 150 with a 0.29 rating in the key demographic. All in all, SmackDown continues to average out at 2.4. Nothing surprising. It's nothing staggering. It's nothing new. For being on Fox, they should be in the 3s. So to me, every time they stay at a 2.3 or 2.4, I look at them as a failure. I look at Fox throwing money down the fucking toilet. That's what I look at. SmackDown should easily be in the 3, but there's no reason for them to be in the 3s. They can't be in the 3s with the current fucking show. Monday Night Raw is looking better week in and week out compared to SmackDown. SmackDown has taken the fucking hate for being like Monday Night Raw all these weeks. I don't know, man. It seems like the show's gotten worse. And the ratings reflect that. Nobody gives a shit. I honestly feel like being on Friday has made the show worse. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. Some SmackDown news. Possible updates on the plans for both Miz and John Morrison. When he returned to WWE TV at the beginning of 2020, many fans were excited to see good old Johnny Morrison back on WWE TV. As a master at innovative ways to escape elimination from the Royal Rumble, fans were also excited to see Morrison back in the Rumble match for the first time in 2011. Since 2011. But his elimination lasted about 11 seconds. So, I don't know, that excitement was pretty much washed away as soon as his theme music was over. Despite all the hype, Morrison lasted 9 seconds, there you go, even topped the 11 seconds that I thought it was, 9 seconds in the Rumble, before being eliminated by Brock Lesnar. His tag team partner, The Miz, lasted 30 seconds before being thrown out by Drew McIntyre. Despite lasting a combined 39 seconds in the Rumble match, WWE seemingly has big plans for The Miz and Morrison on SmackDown in the coming weeks. Regarding Miz and Morrison, Wrestling Inc. is reporting that WWE filmed some special material for the duo while in Houston for the Royal Rumble. It has also been speculated that the duo will be bringing back their popular dirt sheet segments on SmackDown in the coming weeks, so it's likely that WWE filmed some of those with the duo over the weekend. With regards to what they're going to be doing on TV, it is believed that Miz and Morrison will challenge Big E and Kofi Kingston for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Oh joy, oh joy. Just take the spotlight away from every other fucking tag team that you got on SmackDown to pour all your efforts into The Miz and Morrison. Morrison, who right now, being on TV less than a month, is dead in the water. Nobody gives a shit. If you wanted to make John Morrison a big deal, or if you wanted to show the fans that Morrison was a big deal and his comeback was a big deal, you wouldn't have put him in that position to get eliminated by Brock Lesnar in 8 fucking seconds. Okay? You should have put The Miz in that position because The Miz, believe it or not, is a fucking loser on WWE TV. The guy has amounted to nothing in this babyface run. Nothing. I would have put The Miz in there to get eliminated by Brock Lesnar, and I would have had John Morrison, towards the end, just last till the end in the Royal Rumble. Go about 20 minutes, 25 minutes after Lesnar was eliminated. Why? How are you going to come back after 9 years being away from the WWE, show up in your first Royal Rumble and get eliminated in 8 seconds? Man, that's fucking the company showing me that they are very appreciative that I'm back. Give me a fucking break. Are you serious? What an awful fucking creative decision. Whoever booked that is a fucking idiot. Morrison should have never been eliminated in 8 seconds, but this goes to show you that he means nothing to them. Absolutely nothing. And the fact that he's on TV goes to show you that he's right back to where he was. Mid-card garbage. He's never going to be an important aspect of the show. He's just going to be another guy. Nobody cares about John Morrison. If you wanted him to be a big deal, you would have showed us. WWE showed us every which way that he's not a big deal. Pairing him with The Miz shows everybody that John Morrison is not a big deal. Give me a break. And I love John Morrison. I think he's fucking ultra talented. I think John Morrison has what it takes to fucking bring a great match out of anybody. But pairing him with The Miz and having him eliminated in the Royal Rumble the way he was, give me a break. WWE is right back to treating him just like they did Rey Mysterio, like everybody else. They are ordinary. Nothing about them is special, and they will do everything to show you that that is the case. Oh, my goodness. Corey Graves. Corey Graves. Bro, what did Corey Graves say now? What did the clown say now? Oh, you know I needed music, man. You know I needed music to talk about this guy. Gotta get the creepy clown vibe going on. For what did the clown say now? A.K.A. Corey Graves. Fans are beginning to get tired of Becky Lynch. I love this music, man. This is what Graves had to say about Becky Lynch on After the Bell. And I quote, "I was sitting ringside for the Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Asuka. I have nothing negative to say about the match. It was a great match. Both women worked their asses off and created a truly memorable moment. It all came full circle, long-term storytelling. The man finally conquered the one person she wasn't able to in the past. No complaints whatsoever. My observation is that once Becky Lynch's entrance music hit and started to fade, so did the vocal crowd support. Not across the board, Becky definitely has legions of fans that were there to support the man, but it's not what it once was. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. It is my concern, or just my observation, that maybe the WWE Universe is beginning to tire of the man. I'm not saying I am, but this is historically a common occurrence in WWE. When someone reaches megastar status in WWE, as Becky Lynch has over the past year, people tire of them. Look no further than John Cena, then Roman Reigns, and more recently Ronda Rousey, who was beloved when she arrived in WWE, but by the time Wrestlemania came around, even before that, the WWE Universe was tired of the baddest woman on the planet. Becky Lynch will head towards WrestleMania, where she is rumored to be facing Shayna Baszler. A quality challenger may invigorate Lynch's title reign, but we will have to wait and see what happens there. Now, Graves didn't say that last part. That was just part of the report, but he did last mention that the WWE Universe tired of Ronda Rousey, the baddest woman on the planet. You know, he isn't too much of a clown for this comment. I do actually agree with him here. I do think that Becky Lynch is beginning to fade. I do think that the man gimmick is a little cheesy and it's cringe. And I genuinely like Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch is probably one of the best human beings you could possibly ever meet. I don't think that she plays the man how we envision the man to be. When I look at the man, first of all, I hate that moniker for a woman. I really do. When I think of the man, or if you want somebody to embody who that is, meaning the strongest woman on the roster, the baddest woman on the roster, right? It's not Becky Lynch. It's not Becky Lynch. When I look at that, I look at Rhea Ripley, who has come along organically. I look at an Io Shirai, just based off where she came from, really. You know, I look at a Shayna Baszler, legitimately. These are bad fucking women. Ronda Rousey, right? She's a bad fucking female. When I look at Becky Lynch and the way she tries and the way she forces herself to be mean and tough and the way she licks her fucking lips after every sentence trying to look like a badass, like she's trying to make a statement. I don't know if you guys pick up on that, man. I absolutely loathe when she does. She licks her lips. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. I don't see that in Becky Lynch. I didn't see it in Becky Lynch coming out of WrestleMania. The one time I seen that out of Becky Lynch was the picture of her wearing that SmackDown shirt when she got her nose broken by Nia Jackson. She had blood pouring down her face as she was photographed in the fans or with the crowd. That was it. That's when Becky Lynch was legitimately a fucking badass. I don't know what this version of the man is. It's overproduced. It's manufactured. It's not real. It's not organic. It's not Becky. It's not Becky. It's a version of what WWE wants her to be. It's not exactly who she is to this day. That's just me. But I do agree with Becky Lynch, or I do agree on Becky Lynch with Corey Graves that fan support is starting to go away. It's not as it was last year. And I don't even think that she's really to blame for that. I don't really think that she's to blame for that. I honestly think that WWE, in the lack of attention and the lack of care for the women's division and the lack of opponents for Becky Lynch, has brought us to where we are today with this situation. There's nobody. I mean, how could we get invested in Becky Lynch if she has absolutely no Joker to her Batman? How could she thrive and maintain that momentum when she doesn't have anybody pushing her shit in. Ronda did that. Charlotte did that in the entire phase where she was becoming the man. Charlotte did that. Asuka did that. Ronda did that. You know? Now she has nobody. Charlotte's been there, done that. Ronda, we want to see the one-on-one match, but it's not going to end up with Ronda winning. Unless they want to do Ronda and Charlotte at WrestleMania and have Charlotte beat Ronda, which I know Vince McMahon wants. But she has no antagonist. She has no heel. Becky had no heel to work with her until WWE forced Sasha Banks back. And it wasn't even a situation where we could really invest ourselves in Sasha Banks. Maybe for that one time, maybe for that one moment where she turned heel on Natalya and attacked Becky Lynch. But the story never went anywhere. It was simply done out of necessity because WWE had nobody on Raw to feud with Becky Lynch. They had no heels. No heels. So they went with Lacey in the summer. Then Sasha was on hiatus, on sabbatical. She comes back. WWE turns her heel to feud with Becky Lynch. And then they go right back to beating Sasha. And then Becky has nobody. Becky has nobody. Survivor Series rolls around. It's easy to book Survivor Series because it's champion versus champion. Bayley and Shayna Baszler. And it's just easy peasy. Like Titus Pie. You know? And then we get out of Survivor Series and then they do the Asuka thing because there's nobody else on Monday Night Raw. There's nobody else. It's either Charlotte or Asuka. And what are we going to do? Oh, the Royal Rumble happened last year was Becky and Asuka, so we'll do Asuka and Becky again in a rematch. And we'll tell whatever fictional story that they want to tell. Nothing that I emotionally invested myself in. But Becky has had nobody. That's the fucking problem. I don't even blame it on Becky. It's WWE's neglect of the women's division as to why we're in this situation with Becky Lynch, why she's not getting over with the fans, or why she's over with the fans, but the reaction is fading. Nobody cares. WWE is not going to show us they care about caring for the women's division and caring for Becky Lynch and finding people for us to care about when it comes to Becky Lynch and who she's going up against to defend that title. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. So I do agree with Corey Graves. He's not so much of a clown in this situation. But Corey Graves, thank you for joining me on this week's edition of What Did the Clown Say Now? So I agree with him. If anything else happens with Corey Graves on After the Bell, obviously I will cover it here on Off the Script. Speaking of Monday Night Raw, the brand in which Becky Lynch holds its Raw Women's Championship, in a surprising turn of events, the Raw rating went down on Monday after the Royal Rumble. I was genuinely surprised that the Raw rating wasn't higher than it was, especially with Drew McIntyre winning and Charlotte winning and Lesnar and all that stuff, Edge coming back and WWE promoting Edge on Monday Night Raw, which they did in a nauseating way every fucking segment before they went to commercial, showing highlights of Edge and just building up anticipation for his return to Monday Night Raw. The show did 2.40 million viewers, even with it being built around Drew McIntyre, Charlotte, and the return of Edge. It was down 12% from last year's post-Royal Rumble show, which did 2.71 million viewers. But Vince McMahon's vision for WWE is so great! They're down. Where did all those people go? You'd figure that the Royal Rumble didn't really draw any interest because of what happened in the day leading up to the Royal Rumble with Kobe Bryant and all that stuff, right? So Dave Meltzer reported that the interest in the Royal Rumble was down heavily because of what happened. But that is an adverse reason. That is definitely a reason for the Royal Rumble having lesser interest in previous years. But if that didn't happen, the Royal Rumble's interest would be right back to where it should be for this particular event. But the fact that Monday Night Raw coming out of the Royal Rumble and everybody got wind of what happened didn't draw a higher rating, that's pretty fucking disappointing if you ask me. Down 12% from 2.71. To show the ratings decline for the episode after the Rumble, Raw did a 4.10 million viewership in 2016. 3.62 million in 2017, 3.4 million in 2018. Folks, we're in 2020 and we're down 2.4 million viewers. Kobe Bryant didn't die in 2016. What happened then? What happened then? Huh? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. 4 years ago, they did 4.10 million viewers after the Royal Rumble. What happened now? Yeah, Vince McMahon's vision for the WWE is conflicting with George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, right? What did I tell you? It all starts at the top. What is the reason for that big drop only 4 years ago? It's Vince McMahon. Now, the first to third hour drop of 12% was lower than most weeks. The Raw after the Rumble is usually one of the higher rated episodes of the year. But this week's episode was actually lower than the December 30th show, Lana Bobby Lashley wedding, and the September 30th show, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan appearing on Miz TV. But it was also lower than the show that was routinely doing last summer prior to football season starting. It was only up 0.9% as compared with a 10% jump from last year and in 2017. In 2018, the show followed the 25th anniversary episode, which was the highest rated Raw in years. The third hour was the highest rated with teenage girls, but the other demos fell, although not as much during the show as most weeks. Raw was the first in the demographic for 18 to 49 and finished 15th overall on the night for cable, only behind news programming due to the impeachment coverage. 3 hours of Raw were as follows. 8 p.m. was a 2.54, 9 p.m. was a 2.44, and hour 3 was a 2.22. It's disappointing however you look at it, man. It's not good. Especially if you compare over the last 4 years. Look at where they are now. That is awful. Where did all those millions of people go? Blame nobody but fucking Vince McMahon. If you guys watch Monday Night Raw, you would have heard that there was a change in the commentary team. Major change to the Raw commentary team. Vic Joseph is out. Tom Phillips is in. Dio Madden has been out. Byron Saxton is now back on commentary. So during the Royal Rumble, or during Royal Rumble weekend, we got Vic Joseph not shown anywhere. He was not anywhere on any of the commentary teams. Tom Phillips did NXT UK Worlds Collide with NXT. Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler commentated Monday Night Raw, and so did Tom Phillips, and they added Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was not at the Royal Rumble, but Tom Phillips was there as well during Royal Rumble. He did every show that weekend. So there was a shock when Vic Joseph was removed from the Monday Night Raw commentary team. He's been there since the season premiere, which aired on September 30th. Vic has also called Raw matches on all pay-per-views since the brand split. Many people initially speculated that Joseph was unwell and was being temporarily replaced by Tom Phillips. However, this is not the case at all. According to WrestleVotes, Vic Joseph is going to be replaced by Tom Phillips as Raw and the full-time lead on the show. The change was confirmed during the Royal Rumble show. There's no word on why WWE decided to make this change. For what it's worth, he says, I am surprised that Phillips has been drafted in, as I thought Vic Joseph was doing a great job as the voice of Raw. This is not the first change to the Raw commentary team, as Dio Madden was replaced by Samoa Joe as the third man, and now that is with Byron Saxton. Now, there is a backstage note on this situation. So, Meltzer said, and I quote, from what I gather, since we heard the name a couple of days ago, Byron was always going to be the third guy. The decision has been made for Byron to be the third guy, as you've seen on Monday night. Lawler, who was supposed to be only a short-term thing, looks like he's there for the longer term. End quote. Now, Lawler was not expected to be around for the long term and basically was brought in to help Vic Joseph and Dio Madden get situated. Lawler previously said on his podcast that he doesn't like to travel much these days, but the way it was pitched to him, he could stick around for as long as he wants, and he could leave when he is no longer having fun with the job. It's Monday Night Raw. I don't know why anybody would be having fun with Monday Night Raw. Raw does not equal fun. Meltzer did not elaborate on why the decision was made to replace Vic Joseph, but it looks like this was a Vince McMahon call, and since it was Paul Heyman's suggestion to get Vic Joseph and Dio Madden on Raw after the WWE draft, clearly, in Vince McMahon's eyes, it wasn't working, so he went back to doing what he does best, and he gets what he wants and changes everything to see how things fit in his mentality or his vision. Now, I heard from people, I could not find it, dude. I looked and scoured the internet for this news, and everybody was telling me that Vic Joseph was replaced because he mentioned in the weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble in regards to the greatest Royal Rumble, that the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, the one that Braun Strowman won and the one that Daniel Bryan lasted 1 hour and 11 minutes or something like that, 1 hour and 16 minutes, that the greatest Royal Rumble was not a real Royal Rumble, that those statistics did not count. Now, I don't remember him saying that, but a lot of people came forth to me and said he did say that. Now, a lot of people were saying that was the reason why he was removed. I don't know why he would be removed. He did a great job. I thought he was doing a fantastic job, actually. You know, him and Jerry the King Lawler, it was okay. I enjoyed Vic Joseph's commentary. I always did. But he would have actively been removed for telling the truth? Is that what you're telling me? I don't know why WWE would go on and claim that the greatest Royal Rumble is actually a Royal Rumble in which those type of statistics would count. They don't count. It wasn't a real Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble happens in January. The Royal Rumble sets up a superstar to go on to main event WrestleMania. The greatest Royal Rumble did none of those things and only happened in April, in which it took place. I don't know why we are sitting here and arguing over the fact that Vic Joseph is no longer the Raw commentary guy, the lead guy on Raw, because he told the truth. It's WWE that's bullshitting you. WWE wants to spin their own narrative on it because WWE says it doesn't mean it's right. Vic Joseph got fired from his position on Monday Night Raw or replaced in his position on Monday Night Raw for ultimately telling the truth. So WWE, I say this to you. That's WWE and this decision. Now, I look at it in a positive. Now, Jerry Lawler and Vic Joseph as a two-man team, I didn't really care for. That means we hear more from Jerry Lawler. I want to hear less of Jerry Lawler. Tom Phillips does a great job. I have no problem with Tom Phillips. He sounds like a manufactured robot, but Tom Phillips brings a sense of excitement to the shows that Michael Cole kind of does not. I'd much rather hear Tom Phillips than I would rather hear Michael Cole. But Tom Phillips being on Monday Night Raw is no issue to me. But the fact that Vic Joseph and the way he got replaced is an issue to me. He told the truth, and he got fired for it. Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton means we hear less of Jerry the King Lawler. I don't have a care in the world for three-man booth, but the fact that Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips are there taking the duties and we hear less of Jerry the King Lawler, it's a plus. It's a positive in my eyes. So we can't look at it too bad. I just feel bad for Vic Joseph in the end, for him being replaced, like I said, for ultimately telling the truth. The Royal Rumble is the Royal Rumble in January. The greatest Royal Rumble is a bullshit Royal Rumble in which its statistics and whatever WWE took from that Royal Rumble doesn't count. It doesn't count. There's only one Royal Rumble a year, not two. Vic Joseph was telling the truth. Edge and Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw. This was the big closing segment on Monday Night Raw. WWE built to Edge having a in-ring interview and addressing the crowd on why he came back, how he felt. The Royal Rumble return. You looked into that man's eyes and you see him water up, and it made you want to cry as well. It was very emotional, and it was emotional because we care about Adam Copeland. We care about Edge. Edge is the type of guy that we look at and we see superstar. A lot of us grew up watching Edge. So Edge fits that mold of legend. When Edge speaks, we listen. When Edge does something, we care. When Edge is in a storyline and it plays off reality, and you're tugging on the heartstrings of reality, and you apply that to a storyline, people are going to be emotionally invested. That's why this segment was so fantastic. And there's nobody better to play off that than Randy Orton. It's beautiful. It was absolutely a beautiful thing. Edge returned after 9 years on Monday Night Raw, took part in the Royal Rumble. He also turned up on Monday Night Raw to make us feel even more emotionally invested in his return. Unfortunately, Randy Orton happened, and Edge was left with a situation on Monday Night Raw after being RKO'd and hit repeatedly with a steel chair on the back and on the head. Now, while it was quite brutal to watch, there's no doubt in my mind that this was setting up a WrestleMania match and a blood feud between the two former RKO or rated RKO teammates. According to Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp, the crowd reaction was similar to the backstage reaction because it was viewed as a home run by almost everyone. He says, and I quote, "We were told that many backstage considered Orton and Edge's segment at the close of Raw to be a home run. Also, USA Network granted WWE a short overrun earlier in the day." End quote. That last point is key because USA has been very strict on WWE having any overrun on Raw, so it clearly saw the Edge segment as a way to bring in a lot more viewers than usual. Clearly, that did not happen, as I just discussed with the Monday Night Raw ratings. Now, this is likely WWE's way of writing Edge off TV for a few weeks so he can return and attack Randy Orton a bit further down the line to set up their WrestleMania 36 match. This was fantastic stuff. Absolutely fantastic stuff. It makes me wonder if AJ Styles didn't get hurt, if we'd still be seeing this. Probably not. It'd probably be the OC with AJ Styles against Edge and Orton, and then maybe Christian or a partner of their choosing to go up against the OC at WrestleMania, and then we would have seen this after WrestleMania. So WWE lucked out with AJ being hurt, and AJ possibly, he says he will not miss WrestleMania, possibly missing WrestleMania, and him being out for about 5 or 6 weeks. They need to continue plans. You know, the show must go on, even though AJ Styles, who probably factored into all this, the show must go on, even though he's hurt. So WWE lucked out and had a fantastic plan B, and this was their plan B, and it went off beautifully. This was awesome. People in the audience just wanting to cry, and they were just shocked at Randy Orton's fucking antics. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Edge spoke. You know, he cried, or started to cry, when he was reminiscing on his retirement and why he came back. You know, we seen that emotion in his eyes, and it made us watching at home want to tear up for him. Because it was real. That moment was real. Him coming back was real. This is a real situation. The man was retired for 9 years and comes back out of nowhere after 9 years and is physically cleared and able to go in the ring again. You know? He says, "I don't know how long this is going to last, but I need to go out on my terms." It was real. That's why it went off so great. And like I said, that antagonist, that Randy Orton fucking Viper character, the legend killer returning, man, oh man, that was perfect. Absolutely perfect. So we'll see what happens. And I'm excited for this. It looks good on paper. Hopefully Edge can back that up in the ring with Randy Orton. Like I said on Friday's show, there's no better opponents for Edge for WrestleMania than Randy Orton. He's going to take care of Edge's Randy Orton. It's going to be, you know, a very emotional, physical match. And if the legend killer character is coming back for this, everybody's going to be emotionally invested because it's playing off Edge's real-life injury, and everyone's going to want to see him get his revenge on Randy Orton. It's going to be great. Definitely a WrestleMania moment, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Andrade. The other big story coming out of Monday Night Raw is why Andrade kept the United States Championship after being nailed with a wellness policy violation. Andrade suspended until the end of February, 30 days, for their wellness policy. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer gave some backstage details on Andrade's WWE wellness policy suspension. Specifically, he talked about the timing of the suspension and who did and did not know about it. Oftentimes, wrestlers are not immediately suspended after WWE officials find out that someone failed a test. They do this because sometimes they need to tie up loose ends with storylines before they can send the wrestler home to serve the suspension. Bobby Roode was not immediately suspended until they were able to write him off TV. In the case of Andrade, it is not known when WWE officials knew that he failed a drug test, but somebody obviously knew. Vince knew. Nobody, including Andrade, knew that he was going to be suspended when he wrestled on the Royal Rumble kickoff show. I'm assuming, like I said, Vince knew. Andrade was not told until a few hours before Raw, and Creative had no idea on Sunday at the Royal Rumble. This is likely why he was booked to beat Humberto Carrillo on the Royal Rumble kickoff show. Meltzer says, and I quote, "They tell nobody. Literally until the day of the announcement, nobody knows. As far as when Andrade's test came in, I don't know. It must have been on Monday. Vince must have known, like I mentioned. Triple H must have known on Sunday, but literally nobody else. The writing team would have not known until Monday. This was done at that point. They didn't know on Sunday." Meltzer said that Vince McMahon may not have been told, even though everybody speculates that he knows because he knows everything. I don't know why this would be held from Vince McMahon, but he says that Vince McMahon may not have been known about the wellness failure until after the Royal Rumble, because if he did, then he would have sent word out to not have Carrillo take a clean loss on the kickoff show. That does make a little bit of sense. He says this, in addition, and I quote, "Nobody knew in the morning before Raw. In the afternoon, they did know, and then they adjusted everything from there." End quote. So that's why we got Andrade versus Carrillo, which didn't make any sense on Monday Night Raw. That's why they booked it on Raw again, even though it didn't make any sense because of the wellness policy violation. They needed to write Andrade off of TV, and they figured there's no better person to write him off TV with than have Humberto take him out in the same way that Andrade took Humberto out. So I look back at it, and it doesn't really look that bad. It makes a lot more sense now than it did on Monday, but I'm over the matches. I think everybody's over the matches. So the finish where Carrillo took out Andrade with a DDT on the concrete was something that they came up just mere hours before the show, went live on USA Network, and that's why the decision was made not to take the United States Championship off of Andrade. The decision to take the title off of Andrade because of the suspension would have been ridiculous. It would have been ridiculous. There is no reason to give that title to Humberto. There's no reason to give that title to anybody except Andrade. And not only does it not make sense to take the title off of him, but I wonder if they kept the title on Andrade because of Charlotte Flair's influence as well. Could play into a key factor here. Could be a key factor in Andrade keeping the United States Championship. You know, Charlotte Flair has said things in recent months, and it's been reported that she's been unhappy about the way she's booked, and now she's engaged to Andrade. So in a concentrated effort to not further piss off their quote-unquote android queen, WWE has opted to keep the United States Championship on Andrade. And that could play a key factor, like I said, into them keeping the title on him. Now, I don't know how much influence Paul Heyman has over this type of thing. If Vince looks at this, you know, it would be in his instinct to take the title off of Andrade and then have him work his way back up after he comes back from suspension. But Paul Heyman, I know, is a huge proponent for Andrade. He looks at Andrade as the future of Monday Night Raw. He is majorly over with Paul Heyman. How much influence does Paul Heyman have over something like this, even though he's suspended, to go and tell Vince McMahon, I don't think it's the right idea to take the title off him. Let's keep the title on him, and let's see where this goes after he comes back from suspension. I don't know. But Paul Heyman, he must have a factor in this thing, and Vince McMahon must take Paul Heyman's word as gospel here in this situation about Andrade. Otherwise, the championship would have been taken off of him. But if you look at it, they have to know that if they took the title off of Andrade and put it on Humberto, it would be disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. Humberto's not over. He's not over at all. He's not in a position to be the United States champion because the guy's a fucking loser on WWE TV. He's done nothing to show the fans that he deserves it. He just lost at the Royal Rumble. WWE's to blame for that. Look at their miscommunication. Everybody knew that he was suspended on Royal Rumble night, but nobody was notified of his suspension or his failure of wellness policy. Then they go and book that match, and they make it not make sense. He's suspended. And everybody knows he failed, but he goes out there and beats Humberto anyway. You could have did what you did on Monday Night Raw on Sunday. You could have did that at the Royal Rumble. That's what I don't understand. Looking back at it, I see why they did it. But to save them the fucking headache and save us another rematch, they could have did what they did on Monday at Sunday if they properly communicated to everybody that Andrade failed the wellness test. You didn't have to take the title off of him. You could have did what you did with Humberto on Sunday night instead of doing it on Monday. Now, it makes me wonder as well. Not only does Charlotte possibly have an influence over Andrade keeping his title because they don't want to upset her, but I wonder if Andrade failed, if Charlotte has anything going on as well. And it would be very interesting to see. They train together. They're always taking pictures on Instagram and Twitter, social media about them training together. I wonder, with them training together and being very open about their relationship and very open about them training together, how likely is it that Charlotte could be potentially taking the same substance that Andrade is taking, but Andrade got suspended for it and not Charlotte. Maybe WWE is making an example of Andrade and they're keeping the title on Andrade and not doing anything to Charlotte. You know? Maybe it's so weird. It's something that crossed my mind about Charlotte, you know? If he's suspended and found something in his system, I wonder if Charlotte has the same thing in her system, but WWE's not doing anything to Charlotte Flair. That would be fucked up. And that's the reason why they're keeping the United States Championship on him. I don't know. It's a very weird situation, but he is suspended, and he'll be back at the end of February. So at least for a month, for the next month, we won't have to see Andrade versus Humberto for the United States Championship. Samoa Joe, speaking of people who are going to be out, Samoa Joe's injury from Raw is legit. Legit. On Raw, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy were set to defend their Raw Tag Team Championships against Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. Many people have speculated that this match could even take place at WrestleMania, which I thought it was going to be the place for it. So it was a nice touch to see this match booked on Raw because it does look great on paper. Now, however, Samoa Joe was taken out of the match at a relatively early stage, leaving Owens to fight both men on his own. Now, when I reviewed the show, I thought this was merely storyline because they're booking this match now and they can't really pin, the challengers clean here. And I thought WWE was going around and trying to avoid a typical AOP disqualification here, with AOP getting involved. So they took Samoa Joe out per storyline, left Kevin Owens 2-on-1. Owens could not come back from the 2-on-1 onslaught, and he lost because it was a 2-on-1, which doesn't make the loss look that bad for Kevin Owens, being that Joe was taken out of the match. I thought that was done by design. I gave WWE credit. Now I would love to know what the real ending of the match was going to be, because Samoa Joe, according to PW Insider, was legitimately injured. He injured himself on that dive. He caused a concussion for himself on the dive. The decision to remove Joe from the match was made by WWE Medical and was 100% legitimate, not something that was booked as part of the match. Everyone involved was pretty much calling the remainder of the match on the fly, which is pretty impressive, but I hope this does not keep Samoa Joe out, man. Every single time he gets ahead and is put into something major on Monday Night Raw or wherever he is, he somehow gets hurt. I don't get it. I hope this is not long term. I hope he's back sooner rather than later. I hate seeing someone who is so revered by the fans and the fans want to see him get over and the fans want to see him get his deserves, right? And he's always hurt. He's always hurt. And I take back what I said about WWE. I thought they did this as a design in the match. I thought this was planned. Now I take everything back that I said on Monday. I don't give a shit. Now I'm interested to see what had the original match, if the original match was planned, what the ending would have been. I wonder if that would have been AOP interfering. Makes you wonder. But Joe is legitimately hurt. Hopefully he is back sooner rather than later. AEW tops NXT in the ratings again, but both shows were down again this week. So the ratings are in for the latest installment of the Wednesday night fictional wars, as both shows dropped from last week against better than usual competition from both the NBA and cable news programming. AEW Dynamite on TNT averaged 828,000 viewers, which is down 5% from last week. In the 18 to 49 demo, the show was down 3%, averaging a 0.34 rating. Not too bad. 3% is not bad, but it's still down. That rating, though, was good for third place overall on cable. The best the show has ever performed in relation to cable competition. So that's a plus. NXT on the USA Network was down 7%, averaging 712,000 viewers in the demo. They finished 37th on cable with a 0.22 rating, down 8% from last week. There were two NBA games on Wednesday on ESPN that had parts of both aired directly opposing wrestling. The later game topped all of cable with a 0.49 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. The early game actually finished behind AEW with a 0.33 rating. Also topping AEW was an episode of Bravo's Real Housewives of New Jersey, which averaged 0.46 rating and a 1.304 million viewership in the ratings. As it does most weeks, NXT lost to Dynamite in every demo except the demo over 50. You know, the senior citizens, the one who drinks the prune juice, the one who are going to bed early. I guess not too early if they're watching NXT on a Wednesday night till 10 o'clock. Where NXT had a 0.36 to AEW's 0.29 in that demographic. The strongest category for AEW is men, 18 to 49, where they had a 0.48 to NXT 0.28. AEW is a lot cooler, I guess. I don't know. The season 2 premiere of Ms. and Mrs., which aired on USA after NXT on Wednesday, averaged 437,000 total viewers and a 0.18 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. The season 1 finale averaged 1.094 million in the ratings and a 0.38 rating in the demo when airing after SmackDown in August. With Ms. and Mrs. airing after the show, NXT didn't have an overrun on Wednesday night. So that's that. I don't know, man. You know, both shows. Listen, NXT was great. I love what happened with NXT. You got that contract signing with Ciampa and Adam Cole, which was probably one of the best, if not the best, contract signings in NXT history. You had the Dusty Finals with the Broserweights versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And it was just a great show. Really, a Damian Priest and fucking Dominik Dijakovic killing it. Just a great show. But AEW just is... It just has that cool factor, you know? It feels different than a typical WWE production. I don't want to go over this again, but, you know, a lot of people don't watch NXT. If you don't like WWE and you know for a fact that NXT is a great show, which I don't really understand why NXT is not generating a larger rating. If you hate the WWE main roster product and you know NXT constantly delivers every single time in and out every single week. If you hate the main roster, you're not going to watch NXT because it's simply a WWE product. I said this already. And you're going to do everything you can to kind of stick at the WWE, not watch NXT, and watch their competition. That's the reason why people are watching AEW. AEW seems a little bit cooler. They got a lot of youth over there. MJF is killing it over there. Cody is, you know, obviously gravitating towards those younger audience members. You know, you got guys like Orange Cassidy, you got Marco Stunt, you got the Luchasaurus, you got Jungle Boy. Jericho is appealing to the youth. He's cool. He's hip. You know? You got a lot of different pieces over there on AEW television that are generating interest from the younger audience. I don't know why it's not happening with NXT. I don't. You know? I look at Adam Cole, like a Ciampa. But you look at those types of guys, they, especially with the 50 over demographic, they appeal to a much older audience because they, I guess, have that old school feel, that old school mentality. You know? People that age want wrestling. The older demographic want wrestling, you know, and that's what NXT is bringing them. You know, it brings them back to a day and age where things were right. That's what they remember back when they used to watch wrestling when they were young. NXT delivers that, and they deliver it in a little bit more of an intense way. I don't know. I don't have a reason for it. That's just my take on it. I don't know. AEW tops NXT in the ratings again. They were both good shows. AEW was a little boring to me. It wasn't a bad show, but it just didn't really reek of excitement. Meanwhile, NXT to me is better every week. But they're both great shows. Wednesday's the night that we can wash the 3 hours of Raw and the 2 hours of SmackDown out of our mouth. You know? We're kind of and disappointed on Monday. We're happy on Wednesday, and then we're fucking down in the dumps depressed, waiting to fucking drink a shot of bleach on Friday. Just the way it is, man. The doldrums of wrestling during the week. Down, up, down. Same old, same old. Mauro Ranallo speaks, finally, on the incident with Corey Graves. WWE NXT play-by-play announcer Mauro Ranallo was a guest on TSN 1040 in Vancouver for Let's Talk Day, and he spoke about his mental health issues. Ranallo said that the last year was a real struggle for him between turning 50 and his busy schedule. In addition to his weekly duties on NXT, he also calls MMA fights for Bellator and boxing matches for Showtime. Ranallo was hospitalized last summer at UCLA, and he continues with extensive treatment from 10 a.m. to around 5 p.m. when he's not working. Ranallo has not been active on social media since last November when Corey Graves criticized the work he did at TakeOver War Games. Graves later told people that he said what he said, And he was playing into the aspect of brand versus brand storyline, but others were skeptical of this because he singled out Ronaldo and not the other NXT announcers. Graves later issued an apology on his podcast. Graves and his apology and his reasoning is complete bullshit. There was nothing storyline-wise going on with any of the announcers. Graves was drunk, watching TakeOver where he was, or wherever he was, and he figured, let me start some shit because I needed clicks for my podcast. That's all it was. He was an absolute dick in the entire situation. Now, Ronaldo said the following about Graves and his decision to never get back on social media. He says, and I quote, "It was a blessing in disguise. I have nothing really to say about Corey Graves or anyone else in my profession, in that sense, that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Everyone is able to critique everyone the way that they want. I would never do something like that to a coworker." He says that. I would never do something like that to a coworker. But that has been addressed. And if anything, I publicly thank Corey Graves because he was the straw that broke the proverbial back in terms of my social media activity. And I will say here and now, I have deactivated all of my social media since November. And I would implore everyone, especially those with mental health issues, social media is dangerous to those of us with mental health conditions. And I know in the media and our everyday lives now, people are being hired and fired by their social media followings or the amount of information they post or how popular they are. I think it's a disease. So out of that situation with my colleague, I am no longer on social media. I will never get back on social media. End quote. Good for him. Good for him. So he doesn't have to see this bullshit because JBL did it, Graves did it. Who's the next to do it? Who's the next to do it? On top of the fans and the fucking cretins in the community who think that they have a voice and they really don't. These fucking accounts tweeting out to their 6 followers, right? They're nothing but a fucking nuisance. They are irrelevant. They are taking up the air that we breathe. And I wish they'd all drop dead. Seriously, Ronaldo is doing a great thing and he's being a model fucking example of what social media is and what you should do with social media. If I did not have a channel, I would not be on social media. I wouldn't be as active on social media. And he's taking the right steps to make himself better because in this moment, the only one that matters is Mauro Ronaldo. The only thing that matters and the most important thing in his life is what he does as far as work goes. Graves tried to ruin his livelihood. Graves tried to take his joy away from him, and fuck Corey Graves for that. He is a complete fucking dick for what he did and what he said to Mauro Ronaldo. And I commend Mauro Ronaldo for staying off social media because it's a very difficult thing to just walk away from something so addictive like social media. You feel like sometimes, I'm on my phone and I want to lessen the time I'm on my phone. I want to lessen the time I'm on social media. I don't really post during the day when I am not doing a Raw or an AEW or a SmackDown or an off-the-script weekend. I'm not really posting during the day. Why should I? Nobody wants to fucking hear from me. But he is taking himself and using this as an example to walk away. I wish I could limit my time, lessen my time on social media. I really do. It is just fucking cancerous. The things that people say and the hate that you see and the hate that's directed at you and the fucking success that you find on social media, there's always going to be someone to cut you down. It is absolutely AIDS. It really is. And I commend Mauro Ronaldo from walking away from something so addicting because, like I said, you feel like you are disconnected from the outside world, from everything that's going on in the world, because everything revolves around social media. If something happens, social media hears about it first. If something happens, tweets everywhere. Tweets are blowing up. Hashtags this, hashtags that. Instagram, you're missing out on everything. I commend him for walking away. It's a disease, and it takes a lot of willpower to do that, and I commend him for it. Killer Kross. Oh, my God, Killer Kross. Killer Kross. There were reports about Killer Kross meeting with Triple H. I know for a fact, because I am in House of Glory, and I speak to House of Glory management, whoever that might be, and I was told that Killer Kross was meeting with Triple H. I was told because we in House of Glory were interested in Killer Kross and bringing him in, whether that's signing him to the promotion now that Master P owns it, or bringing him in to do something with somebody because he's a big name. He's a fucking great dude, right? I was told that he met with Triple H or was planning to meet with Triple H. Now, I don't know why he wouldn't meet with Triple H if he's a free agent. You're going to go out into the free agent market in pro wrestling. This is how people don't think. This is how the wrestlers think of the fans. They think we're stupid. You are a free agent in the world of pro wrestling. You know what you are worth. You made a big deal about leaving Impact because you signed a deal that you felt you were being lowballed on. You knew your worth. They granted you your release, and now you could do whatever you want. Now you're a free agent with a lot of momentum behind you. You have the world by the balls. If someone is out there listening to Killer Kross and listening to him say, I've never met with Triple H in my entire life, I haven't talked to Triple H, I would look at you and I would say right to your face, you are a fucking liar. There is no way you are a free agent like Killer Kross and you're out there in the wrestling industry and you have not spoken to Triple H about joining NXT or Triple H in general now that he does all of it. You're meeting with Triple H whether you're going to NXT or you're going to WWE, period. There's no way anyone's going to believe when he says, I've never talked to Triple H. Give me a fucking break. This guy sat with Triple H. As far as I know, he's already signed to WWE, whether it's verbally or written down in a contract. Killer Kross on Triple H. I've never met the guy. Really now. That gets the Price is Right losing horn. I'm sorry, bro. You met with Triple H, and there's no way anybody's going to believe you, no matter how sincere or genuine you act on a random podcast. He says this, speculation that has been going around about him meeting with Triple H. I quote, I have to address this. You had mentioned Hunter or Triple H. I've never met him. I don't know where the story came from exactly in the dirt sheets. I don't really pay attention to them. I've never met him. I think it's cool and kind of flattering that those stories circulate, but I'd like to meet him. If someone could make that happen, that would be great. Don't worry, bro. You don't need anybody to make that happen. He came to you. They always do. You mean to tell me that WWE is just going to let Killer Kross dangle out there knowing that AEW now just signed a new $50 million fucking a year contract with TNT? Give me a fucking break, dude. Give me a fucking break. I wish somebody could make that happen. That would be great. You don't need to make it happen. Triple H is going to pay for your fucking airfare down to Orlando to sit down in his nice cozy office to talk to you. Don't worry about it. It's happened already. I know it's not meant to be malicious or whatnot, but it's fun to fantasize about that stuff, but unfortunately that hasn't happened yet. The numerous reports about his future. This is what he says, and I quote, I'll tell you too, and you don't have to read a dirt sheet. I'll just tell you the truth, and if any of them had asked me, I would give them this answer as well. I don't know where I'm going to end up, and that doesn't bother me, and it shouldn't bother anyone else. This is a huge decision. This is a life-changing decision, and I enjoy the idea of commitment, so when I make the decision on which direction I'm going in, I need to be 100% committed in my mind, and I need to have everything to lay out as it should be, and I understand the speculation that people are making, and it doesn't bother me, and that's cool. What's wrong with being the subject of conversation in the pro wrestling industry? I'm flattered by it, and I'm humbled by it. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know where I'm going next. I have ideas, and I'm in conversations with many different channels, but there is such a massive amount of embellishment out there that sometimes I feel bad about reading it. I'll just mind my own business and be over here. I feel bad because if they're paying that source, somebody's probably making a pretty penny off of it, and the source is wrong. I don't know how all that stuff works, but I don't take any offense to it, and I don't mean to be challenging for anybody, but the truth of it is that I'm still observing my options, and a decision like this is something I really need to weigh in on. Folks, Killer Kross will be on NXT TV or WWE TV within the next month and a half. That's all you need to worry about. In fact, the vignettes on NXT TV have someone debuting 2/5/20. I don't know what that is, but it certainly seems like it could be for Killer Kross. Now, he has independent dates, obligations through Valentine's Day. After that, nothing. We could see Killer Kross debut on TakeOver in Portland. on TakeOver in Portland because him and his independent dates will be fulfilled. So we don't know. But I'm not going out there and saying that Killer Kross is showing up on 2-5. I could sit here and tell you that I think it's for the Velveteen Dream. You know? Why would they debut somebody like Killer Kross on basic fucking television? You're going to do that on a TakeOver and then promote his appearance for the first time on weekly television. So if anything, he shows up in Portland, or if not in Portland, he shows up for Tampa. There's no rush. There's no rush. But WWE and Triple H, they met with Killer Kross. And if he tells you, there's no reason to believe what he says. Because they are going to do everything to refute a report, just like Edge did when he came back, and they make themselves look like idiots in the end. But if he wanted to go out there and spread his wealth in many different promotions, maybe Ring of Honor and New Japan and AEW, maybe some House of Glory, he can make a killing. But WWE, I'm sure, is going to go out there and secure this guy with a mega fucking deal so that he doesn't have to think about going anywhere ever. Triple H met with Killer Kross. And if he doesn't sign with WWE, I would be shocked. Speaking of AEW, Luke Harper is set to debut. Yes, Brodie Lee is set to debut with AEW. Harper was released by the WWE at the start of December 2019. According to Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Harper is expected to make his debut on the March 18th episode of Dynamite, which happens to be coming from Rochester, New York, Luke Harper's hometown. The Observer noted that Harper would have been able to debut earlier than this, but the plan is to give him the best reception possible by having him debut in his hometown. Harper filed to trademark Brodie Lee in November last year, so expect that to be his name once he debuts in AEW. As you all know, Harper was one of the most widely underutilized big men in WWE, so hopefully he finds a rebirth of sorts in AEW. I think that's great, and that makes sense. I mean, there you go. There you go. I need AEW to bolster their roster. It starts with Brodie Lee. Whether you want to go out there and get a Brian Cage after that, a Revival after that, maybe bolster the women's division, go out there and make some independent signings, whatever you got to do. I stated this time and time again. This company's going to look vastly different come the 1-year anniversary of Dynamite in October 2020. It's not going to be the same roster. They're going to have 2 TV shows. They're going to have a great roster. And now they got some spending money. They got some leverage to go out there and get some talent. Brodie Lee is the start of it. And that's an excellent decision. I can't wait to see what he does in AEW. I'm excited. He's not going to be a game changer. He's not going to be a difference maker in the ratings. But man, do AEW need some fresh new blood to just bring some excitement to the Dynamite shows, man. I'm excited. And Rochester, New York, his hometown, makes perfect sense. So March 18th, keep that date circled on your calendars. Finally, guys, I don't really know what to think of this. And I saved it for last because it's now in the past. It's not that really big of a deal. But there was an altercation between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle before the Royal Rumble. Now, Pro Wrestling Sheet reported that there was a verbal altercation between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle. Apparently, they passed each other backstage. Words were exchanged. A source said that Lesnar wanted to know the reality of the situation between himself and Matt Riddle. Now, as many of you know, Matt Riddle has been trash-talking Lesnar during interviews and on social media for the past couple of years. Riddle said that he wants to retire Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Now, in context, when you hear that, it doesn't really sound all that bad. Now, Riddle, clearly from that, if you don't have any prior knowledge of what happened between these two, to me, when you look at that statement by itself, I look at that as Matt Riddle wanting Lesnar as far as a respect aspect goes, and he wants to be the one to retire Lesnar because that's how much he values and thinks of Brock Lesnar in that way. That's the way I see it. Riddle respects Lesnar. Now, the thing is that everything that Riddle has been saying about Lesnar has not been storyline related, and there are currently no plans for Lesnar and Riddle at WrestleMania like everybody had been hoping for. We didn't even get the reaction, or the confrontation, I should say. We were not granted and gifted this altercation in the ring at the Royal Rumble when everybody fantasized about it and fantasy booked this at the Royal Rumble. We didn't get it. We didn't get it. This happened before the Rumble, and I'm thinking Vince McMahon wasn't going to reward Matt Riddle with a showdown with Brock Lesnar. He could have used it as a way to embarrass Matt Riddle, but he embarrassed Matt Riddle in the form of Baron Corbin, where Riddle was eliminated in 40 seconds. So he got punished for it anyway. And the only reason why I think they didn't do it at the Royal Rumble with Riddle and Lesnar is, yeah, they didn't want to reward Riddle in that situation, but they also didn't want to bury him as well. So they had Baron Corbin do it instead. They didn't want to bury Matt Riddle in that situation because maybe, just maybe, WWE realizes that Riddle and Lesnar is a match that they want to visit somewhere down the line in the future. Now, the backstage altercation at the Rumble would be the first time that Riddle and Lesnar have met face-to-face. It would not surprise anybody to see this turned into an angle at some point, which I thought it was the case. The plan for Lesnar at WrestleMania is Drew McIntyre, but it would not surprise me at all if Lesnar versus Riddle was a match that WWE booked in the future, and I was absolutely sure of that, and I thought this altercation was a storyline because WWE, after the Rumble, they went out and put on their YouTube channel, on their WWE PC YouTube channel, Riddle being eliminated in the Royal Rumble and mentioned Lesnar again. Oh, I'll get my Lesnar match, whether they like it or not. And they put that on YouTube, a WWE sanctioned and approved YouTube channel for the WWE PC. Now I'm like, this got to be fucking storyline. You know, this whole altercation's got to be storyline because if it was real and Lesnar choked out Riddle and asked him what the reality of the situation between you and I is, and then they uploaded that, you know, it's like, it looks like a fucking, it looks like a work. So I didn't know what to think. That was my first inclination when I seen this video. So Sam Roberts went on and said that he did not hear anything backstage about Lesnar and Riddle, and he was at the Royal Rumble, so if it happened, then he didn't hear anything around him or hear anyone discussing it. So we had that coming from the Sam Roberts podcast. Well, Sam Roberts was there at the Royal Rumble. He was on the pre-show. He didn't see anything or hear anything about Lesnar and Riddle, which also to me was something that I should take into consideration, because if somebody's there backstage and he's physically there and didn't hear or see anything or hear anybody talk about it, then it must have not happened. Maybe it was all just something to drum up some interest in the aspect of Riddle and Lesnar happening eventually, and then, you know, with that PC video going out, it looked like a complete work. So Sam Roberts says, I did not hear any confrontation between Lesnar and Riddle. He didn't hear anybody talk about any confrontation backstage between Riddle and Lesnar. I know that the websites are talking about it, but it didn't happen around me if it did happen. So that really isn't going to say anything. If it didn't happen around me, it didn't happen. Whatever. Fightful Select reports that one person noted to them that the verbal confrontation was more of Brock Lesnar making sure that Riddle knew he was the wrong one to fuck with. One person noted that Lesnar was the wrong one to fuck with, and that Lesnar was simply communicating his issues, saying he was spoken to by Brock and he understood. WWE was able to keep Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle away from each other in the Royal Rumble. I don't know how long that's going to be, because WWE has to know that that is a money match somewhere down the line. Now, what did Brock Lesnar exactly say to Matt Riddle at the Royal Rumble? So, this came from Alex McCarthy of TalkSport. He was backstage at the Royal Rumble, and he was able to speak with sources close to the situation on what went down. McCarthy says he was told that Lesnar approached Riddle and grabbed his shoulder to get attention, to get Riddle's attention. Lesnar said, and I quote, "Kid, you might as well stop saying my name and tagging me in shit, because you and I will never work together, ever." Tensions did not rise beyond that, and Riddle remained cool and composed during the exchange. Riddle was not showcased much in the men's Royal Rumble match, but WWE officials claim that he is not being punished, and what he did in the match was what was planned for him. Bullshit. Absolutely. You're going to have someone like Matt Riddle in the Royal Rumble and only being there for 40 seconds? Give me a fucking break. Matt Riddle was undoubtedly punished in the Royal Rumble. And on top of the cake, the cherry on top of the cake, on top of that, Baron Corbin was the one to eliminate him. Yes, it was a punishment. Give me a fucking break. McCarthy also noted, and I quote, I reached out to Riddle with no info to see if he wanted to comment. He has yet to respond. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Matt Riddle has a lot of heat backstage within WWE and has annoyed some of the company's higher-ups. Meltzer noted that while this shouldn't affect his standing in NXT, which it did not because they just won the Dusty Classic, him and Pete Dunne, and more than likely will win the NXT Tag Team titles, his Royal Rumble poor showing might show that WWE main roster officials have no real faith in him. That would be fucking criminal. He says, and I quote, I don't want to say that he doesn't get it because he may get it. Whatever it is, there's a lot of heat on Matt Riddle now. You can look at it like he's got a lot of potential and they shouldn't squander it. And he's not the first guy and he's not going to be the last in that situation where Vince sees it differently. And it's not like he's the kiss of death. But right now on NXT, I guess you could not push him at all. But that would be stupid because NXT is battling with AEW and things like that. Yeah, he ain't in the forefront, and there's a reason why he was in and out so quick in the Royal Rumble. It was more than just getting heat for Baron Corbin, which is what the outcome was. But the idea was that, whatever it is, I'm not there. I can't speak for his attitude. I can only speak about his performance. His performance is really good. I haven't heard anything negative about his attitude, but that doesn't mean it's not there and he hasn't rubbed someone the wrong way or whatever he's done. I don't know what it would be, but that's the case. This certainly isn't great news as Riddle has potential to be one of the company's biggest babyfaces if they decide to push him correctly. However, perhaps this heat will halt any plans WWE has for him. So coming out of this, NXT held a class, or management held a class with NXT wrestlers at the PC and told them not to tweet main roster wrestlers ever again without management approval. So this is coming from PW Insider. They noted that there was a reference to the altercation during a mass media class on Tuesday at the Performance Center. WWE told wrestlers not to tweet or call out talents from Raw or SmackDown without their knowledge. When that was said, there was reportedly a laugh from the WWE talents in attendance. As noted, Lesnar reportedly told Riddle to knock it off with the trash talking on social media because he has no plans to work with him ever. So that's that. Now, Lesnar, who knows what Lesnar might be thinking? Lesnar has a lot of influence. If he doesn't want to work with anybody, he's not going to work with anybody. It's plain and simple. You know, Lesnar is in a position right now where he's the biggest name in the company, and as far as where Riddle stands with Lesnar, it might be a situation where Lesnar wants to work with somebody who, you know, A, he respects and sees who is working their ass off to get to that type of level. He might not see that in Matt Riddle. I don't know. And he might see, all he might see as far as Matt Riddle is trying to, you know, gain clout by using Lesnar's name, and Lesnar might not appreciate that, you know? And that's the way Lesnar probably sees it. He probably sees this young punk kid in WWE that he's not really all that familiar with. You know, he sees that he might have an MMA background there and there, whatever. And he's in the pro wrestling world now. He's really a nobody in WWE, if you really want to be honest with it. He's a somebody to us. We know how fucking great he is. But in WWE, he's a nobody. And Lesnar might look at that the same way. And Lesnar might look at that as this young punk kid trying to use his name to gain or get ahead in WWE. Gain clout. And he might not appreciate that. And that's disrespectful to Brock Lesnar. Now, like I said, I thought this was all a work. I really did. And then when I tweeted that out with the video to the PC or from the WWE PC channel, Sean Ross Sapp hit me up and said it's 100% a shoot. This is legit. And he went on and told me that Matt Riddle has had some choice words in the past about Brock Lesnar. And that's the entire reason for this. Not just what we've seen on social media, because Riddle has kept it tame since he's been in the WWE. I want to retire Brock Lesnar. I want Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I want to be the one to end Brock Lesnar and end his career. I want to give Lesnar his last match at WrestleMania. That could be looked at as, you know, a commendable comment. That he wants Brock Lesnar in that moment at WrestleMania and he finds no other bigger opponent for him than Brock Lesnar. That could be looked at as a respectful comment. But I was told firsthand that this is a legit thing, and Lesnar, was the subject of Matt Riddle, and he didn't have choice words. He didn't have very nice things to say at all about Brock Lesnar. And this is all legit. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's seemingly, swept under the rug now. And Lesnar has stated that he will never work with Brock Lesnar. Or Riddle. He told Riddle that he will never work with him at all. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't think that is the wise thing. I think there's absolute money in that. And I hope we are given that match at some point. It is a WrestleMania-worthy match. So we'll see what happens, man. But that is the latest on that. And I got some first-hand information from Sean Ross Sapp that this is all legit after I thought it was all a work. This was a complete shoot. So that is that. Who knows where we go from here, but it also shows you how petty Vince McMahon and the main roster could be, where they look to punish, and I know for a fact, it's no question that Matt Riddle was punished in the Royal Rumble for either that or the shit that he said about Goldberg. He was punished in the Royal Rumble, given that elimination to Corbin, and it goes to show you how petty the main roster is when you look at Triple H. Triple H could sit down with Riddle and guide him and teach him and mold him to be the type of guy he needs to be in the WWE, but Triple H knows what Matt Riddle is worth. He just won the Dusty Classic with Pete Dunne. He's going to win the Tag Team Championships from the Undisputed Era. Triple H could easily bury him as well, but I think they kind of taught him a lesson in NXT with the Goldberg comments, right? And now here we got this Lesnar shit, and now Vince is punishing Matt Riddle for the Lesnar shit. It's a situation where he can't win. But Triple H knows that he can't continue to punish Matt Riddle because he's just too good. He's going to have to learn his lesson eventually, and hopefully these classes and Triple H or William Regal or somebody gets to him, and tells him, listen, bro, calm it down. You want to be where you want to be. You want to be where we know you should be in this company. Calm it down. So hopefully this does not ruin that Riddle-Lesnar match in the future. But according to Lesnar, it will never happen. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I have done my fair share of podcasting this weekend. Thank you so very much for all your support on the show. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate that. If you guys want to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that as well. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. Everything you need is linked down below in the description of this very video. And if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, you guys can certainly do that as well. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go and get your t-shirt. YWC Messiah. Official t-shirt available on bonfire.com. That is available right now. Link is down in the description of this very video. Audible, make sure you guys check out Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript for your free audiobook, 30 days of their service. So that's great there. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram, man, at JD from NY206. I will be back on Monday with a brand new week of WWE content. I am getting out of here. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the Super Bowl, wherever you guys are going to be watching the game from. I don't give a shit, so I will not be watching. But I will see you guys right back here with a brand new week on Monday for wrestling content right here on the channel. Until then, I am JD. This is OTS, and I'll see you right back here for Monday Night Raw on Monday. See you guys then.